World War II is remembered as America's finest hour. The greatest generation emerged from the ashes of the Great Depression, manufactured the arsenal of democracy, and defeated evil tyranny and genocide. But behind this triumphant narrative lies a darker truth. For countless refugees fleeing the horrors of a Nazified Europe, our shores remained a distant, unreachable dream. The decision to fight the war wasn't ours. It was forced upon America in December 1941 when the Japanese attacked our Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor, and 4 days later when Hitler declared war on us. At the time, millions of Jews across Europe were already in peril. The Nazis had escalated their persecution into a campaign of systematic extermination. Yet strict immigration quotas, rooted in xenophobia and anti-Semitism, severely limited the number of refugees who could enter. Between 1941 and 1945, the U.S. issued only 21,000 visas to Jewish refugees, a fraction of what was possible under existing quotas. Tens of thousands of slots went unused. Our reluctance to act was evident even before the war. In July 1938, President Roosevelt convened the Evian Conference in France, where 32 nations met to discuss the growing refugee crisis. However, despite recognizing the dire plight of Jews in Europe, the conference produced no meaningful commitments to increase immigration quotas. Hitler, of course, exploited this failure in Nazi propaganda, claiming no one wanted the Jews, a message that emboldened the regime's genocidal ambitions. The following year, in February 1939, the Wagner-Rogers Bill proposed offering refuge to 20,000 Jewish children from Nazi-occupied Europe. The bill faced fierce opposition from isolationists and nativists who argued it would burden America during the Great Depression. Congress ultimately rejected the measure, leaving thousands of children without hope. For those who managed to escape Nazi-controlled Europe, even temporary refuge was uncertain. In 1939, the SS St. Louis carried over 900 Jewish refugees to American shores, but the ships were turned away despite desperate pleas. Forced to return to Europe, more than a quarter of its passengers were later murdered in the Holocaust. Within Nazi-occupied Europe, the death camps of Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor became symbols of humanity's darkest hour. And while American forces ultimately liberated several camps, this victory came far too late for the 6 million Jews who had already perished. In 1944, President Roosevelt established the War Refugee Board, which succeeded in saving about 200,000 Jews through diplomatic efforts and the creation of safe havens. But this initiative came late in the war, after countless lives had already been lost. The reasons for America's inaction are complex. The economic strains of the Great Depression fostered widespread fears of competition for jobs, while anti-Semitic conspiracy theories painted the Jewish refugees as a threat to national security. Isolationist sentiment further compounded these obstacles. History shows us that indifference can be as deadly as hate. While the U.S. fought valiantly to defeat Nazi Germany, its reluctance to open its doors to those in need remains a stain on her legacy. The Holocaust forced the world to confront the consequences of inaction and prejudice. In its aftermath, international efforts like the United Nations Refugee Convention and the creation of Israel sought to prevent such tragedies from happening again. But as we face a modern genocide of Palestinians and the refugee crisis in Gaza, the lessons of World War II remain as relevant as ever. The story of refugees during the Holocaust is not just a tale of loss. It's a sobering reminder of the cost of apathy, and it challenges us to ask hard questions about our own time. How do we balance fear with compassion? And will we choose to uphold the values we claim to represent? Because history is not just about what happened. It's a lesson for today. And that's why truthful U.S. history matters.